Looks like we have a fan favorite, Amanuel. Him from Texas. And it looks like he wants to know, is there a place to deconstruct if I don't want to become an atheist or an agnostic? So let's go ahead and let's see what's going on. Hey, Amanuel, I'm Infidel, and we're lucky enough to have Christopher Hitchens with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Is that Christopher Hitchens or Blind Lammy Jamie?
Well, he may appear like that to you, but I mean, I can assure you that is definitely the real deal, Christopher Hitchens. I mean, we wouldn't have it any other way here.
Although I would commend you on wanting to be skeptical about whether I am, in fact, Christopher Elliott Hitchens, I'd have to provide some kind of proof, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Well, so
I mean, because I know the works of Christopher Hitchens. I mean, I've seen his videos and stuff, and that definitely, I don't think that's Christopher Hitchens. I'm so sorry.
Well, Emmanuel, we had a seance and brought Christopher Hitchens back from the dead. So you're on the Halloween special where we're talking to spirits so we can pull back, and it may appear to be blind limey to you, and for all practical purposes, if you want to treat him that way. But here at Truth Wanted, we want to be respectful to all of our ghosts and our hosts. So, and for the purpose of this, I'm going to call him Hitch. You can call him what you want to, but I'm going to respect him. But seriously, though, Emmanuel, what's going on? What's on your mind?
What's on your mind, sir?
What's on my mind was, I was wondering if I could remain a theist and still go through the process of deconstructing, religious toxic beliefs. You know, it's like, since you have said that you have actually, you have seen or heard my previous conversations. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Super toxic religion. It's like I was around Mennonites for a very long time, and Mennonites is like the worst denomination that I could actually think of. They're so manipulative, abusive, and so much totalitarian. But it's still, I still believe in God, and I believe in Christ Jesus. But I still want to deconstruct the harmful ideas of that specific sect or religion.
Well, Emmanuel, let me say that first, I came from a very toxic religious upbringing, and so when you talk about all trying to deconstruct these things, I feel I understand where you're coming from, because I had to go through that myself. Now, I understand that you're saying I want to remain a theist but deconstruct these toxic views. I have to say that there are less extreme options than, as you know, Mennonites and different organizations out there. Recovering from religion is one thing that I cannot stress enough for being a good resource, even because it's not always, hey, let's throw your God away and then come and we'll help you. This is about deconstructing, and it's not something like that. It's about deconstructing, as you're talking about, those bad, dangerous, and harmful ideas that we're ingrained with, and it takes time and it takes help. I know that Recovering from Religion is a very good organization, and you really should reach out to them. I think that they could really give them an opportunity to talk to you. Having listened to a lot of your other calls, I really feel that there is something in you that you understand is a problem, that you know that there are certain things in there that you're bound by. It's that fear, and I get that. It's a very real thing. It's not something, even if it's, in my opinion, made up and something that's a fantasy, that doesn't make it something like that for you. It's something that you have to deal with and address. And I'm really glad you're at a point where you're saying, I have some ideas that may be toxic. I have some things that may be unhealthy for me. Because, you can be a better person and still keep your theist beliefs by getting rid of some of those bad ideas. It's not an all or nothing thing. You know, you can dispose of bad ideas, and you may keep something that I don't think is a good idea, but that I don't live your life, Amanuel, and you don't live mine. So I don't get to make that choice for you. But definitely reach out. Reach out to recovering from religion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What got me to this point was like about 2 or 3 months ago, I was talking with Christy Powell, or Christian Powell, Powell.
Christy, yes.
And him and student Ben, no, Dr. Ben, was on the show, was on Talk Even. And a lot of times, you know, while talking to the host, at the same time, I will be like watching the comments or the live chat, because it's kind of like fun to me, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, people on the chat will say that, you know, he doesn't listen, he only talks, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, during that day, we were talking about like fornication and stuff. And, you know, like he said, like, reconsider your beliefs, you know, like reconsider what you think about this sort of stuff. And, you know, I rewatched the same call, right? And I started like questioning and stuff. And, you know, like, you know, I start doing things that I considered mistake in the past. And I didn't feel bad about it.
Excellent.
And I feel so much relief.
Good.
You know, and I kept doing it, but I still don't feel bad about it. You know, people tell me like, you know, having sex outside of marriage is bad. But I didn't have any harm with it, because both you know, both parties was like, we were both adults, we were both like consenting to perform those things. And after doing that, you know, back in the time when I was a teenager, I used to like repent after seeing, you know, too much porn or whatever. But me here in Texas, after like, you know, committing those things, I didn't even have to like, I didn't even care. I just like go about my day like the next day.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is such a relief. And I started applying those sort of things to my other areas of life, how I think about, you know, I haven't paid tithes for a year now, and I work 2 jobs, and I'm like, you know, maybe I should like stop paying tithes, because like, you know, I'm working, I have to see, you know, other, you know, I still donate to charity, but like, I don't give out to the church. And back in the time, I used to feel like really bad about like not paying tithes and stuff. Now I don't even feel bad about tithes, you know, like why would I feel bad about tithes, you know? You know, if the Lord is good, you know, he might provide them, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't actually have to pay out my money to a certain organization.
It sounds like, Amanuel, that you're already well down the path of reconstruction and understanding what you feel is a moral and right way to live. And I will say what I've said in the past. I don't want to strip people of their faith by force. If you still wish to believe in God, I can disagree with that, and we can talk about the epistemology and semantics around it, and that's all fine. But if you're willing to start putting away things that you know are harmful, that is fantastic. In all seriousness, this is the reason why we do what we do. We don't want to just take people away entirely from whatever brings them comfort. We're just hoping that people are a bit more reasonable, a bit more able to decide what is actually right through observation of the world around you. Like you said, your encounter and having sex with a consenting person, and it was mutually fun, and there was nothing bad came of it. That's what we're looking for. Now, of course, you can go too far the other way. Take it from me. I crossed over because I went a bit too far in some places. But if you know where those lines lie, and in consultation with people you trust, then you can form your own idea of what you feel is moral, and then just compare it to different Christian faith dogmas. Does it match more Episcopalian or Methodist or Baptist or Unitarian? And of course, we're not going to recommend one to you for several reasons, including that that's a very personal choice to make for yourself. But decide what you feel is right in yourself, and it looks like you're doing a fantastic job of it already.
And Amanuel, I've got to say that you've been someone who I've listened to over and over again, and I really have always felt that there's something in you digging for the truth. I don't think you're somebody who's not listening. I think you're someone who's struggling with conflicting beliefs, because I think in your heart you are and want to be a good person. I just think that perhaps you, as you're coming to the realization that maybe on some of those things you thought were good are not so important or good, and those are things that, as Hitch mentioned, you're going to have to work out for yourselves. And I'm glad to hear that you're reconsidering some of these things. Now, I am going to have to move on, but one thing that I wanted to say is I'm really happy to hear that you're making these changes and you're recognizing that it's not just about following what somebody told you or what's in a book, but realizing and coming to that decision yourself. It's not going to be easy. I'm telling you now that deconstruction is not an easy process, but staying wrong is an even more difficult one. So yes, it's not easy, but staying wrong is harder. So keep thinking, keep working. I would definitely reach out to Recover from Religion. I think that would be a great tool for you to talk to reach out and talk to someone about these things. And I just wanted to thank you for calling on this special Halloween episode. And
Yes.
I hope you call back with future updates on how you're doing. And I hope you have a good day.
Okay. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think the most heartening thing about that interaction was it feels like Amanuel is letting go of some of the fear. That was what I always heard in his calls, was this fear. And no one should have to live with that much fear. It's not good for you. So good on you, Amanuel. I mean, that's actually really quite a heartening call. Moves my tiny little black heart.
You know, I have to say I was really happy to hear that. I've heard several calls here recently in the past couple months with Amanuel, and I really thought that he was on that edge, and it's really good to hear that he's going forward. And as you said earlier, Hitch, this is why we do it. You know, and we're not going to change people's mind overnight, but if we can get people to think and realize that maybe things aren't so extreme, that they can have an opportunity to do something and become better and happier people.
Well, he certainly made it worth crossing the veil tonight.
Oh, that was great.